heating down quite low, and then we try to stay in just, the kind of rooms with the wood burner where the heat comes out from there. As the price of gas and energy has just soared, then we've definitely become quite reliant on it. I'll probably try and work in this room, so just keep it a little bit warmer, and we really try and keep those energy bills down.
The government said it has already acted to regulate wood burners and to ban more polluting fuels. The Stove Industry Alliance said modern designs produce...
Labour is facing a fresh backlash tonight amid claims it now wants to ban your wood burners to keep the EU happy, just weeks after coming under fire for raising taxes on working people. At the centre of the row is a major shift in air quality policy. Environment Minister Emma Reynolds has announced that the government's Environment Improvement Plans, known in Whitehall as EIPs, will now contain targets aligned with those being set in Brussels. In practice, that means Britain's legal limits on a key air pollutant, known as PM 2.5, would be tightened much faster than previously planned. And because a significant share of those fine particles comes from burning wood, critics fear that beloved wood-burning stoves could be the next casualty. At present, the UK limit for PM 2.5 is 20 micrograms per cubic metre of air. Under the existing timetable, that figure would not be halved until well into the 2030s. Brussels, by contrast, is moving to cut the limit to 10 micrograms by 2030, a full decade earlier than the target set under the current UK Environment Act. Labour has now signalled it wants to match that European goal, effectively superseding Britain's own, more relaxed timetable. PM 2.5 refers to tiny particles, less than 2.5 micrometers across. Because they are so small, they can penetrate deep into the lungs and even enter the bloodstream. The World Health Organization describes these particles as among the most harmful pollutants to human health. In the UK, they are produced by multiple sources, including traffic, industry, and agriculture, but soot from domestic wood burning is a major contributor, especially on cold, still winter days when smoke hangs in the air. To hit the new, tighter limits, the government will now consult on how to cut soot and other PM 2.5 emissions. Sources at the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, DEFRA, told The Guardian that this consultation could look at tougher rules in smoke control areas. Those are zones, often in towns and cities, where only certain fuels can legally be used, and where appliances must meet specific standards. One option on the table is to change what can be branded as smokeless fuel and to impose sharper limits on how much smoke older appliances can emit. A policy paper circulating in Whitehall suggests that, taken together, these changes could amount to an effective phase-out of some older wood-burning stoves, and in certain heavily polluted areas, even an outright ban on using them at all. That prospect has fueled headlines warning that Labour is coming for people's hearths, and accusations from opponents that the government is bending British law to please Brussels and green lobbyists, regardless of the cost to ordinary households. DEFRA, however, insists talk of an immediate nationwide ban on wood burners is wide of the mark. Speaking to the Daily Mail, the department confirmed that the upcoming consultation would not propose a ban on stoves already in homes. In a statement, a spokesperson said, "Poor air quality robs people of their health and costs the NHS millions in extra treatments for lung conditions and asthma. Our new air quality targets will cut harmful particles by a third by 2030, improving lives across the country. We recognize that for some households, wood burners are an important way to heat homes, and our upcoming consultation will focus on tighter standards for new wood-burning products to help reduce health impacts." In other words, ministers are signaling that existing stoves will not be ripped out, but new ones may have to meet stricter standards. That could mean cleaner burning designs, tougher certification rules, and a narrower range of approved fuels. Supporters of the policy argue that this is a reasonable compromise. Households that already rely on wood burners can keep using them, while the overall pollution from new installations is pushed down over time. For many wood burner owners, particularly in rural communities, those assurances will not fully calm the nerves. Last year, the Scottish government made it illegal for wood-burning stoves to be used as a primary heat source in new-build homes. The move was seen as a heavy blow to off-grid villages and small towns where gas is not available and where oil and wood are the main options. After a fierce public backlash, Edinburgh partially rode back on the decision within months. That experience has left many skeptical of any policy that appears to target stoves, however gradual or limited the changes may look on paper. Reactions to Labour's latest move reveal a stark divide between health-driven policymakers and skeptical sections of the public. One detailed online comment picked out 3 key points often lost in the most dramatic headlines. First, that PM 2.5 is indeed considered one of the most dangerous pollutants by the World Health Organization. Second, that DEFRA has explicitly said the consultation will not propose a ban on stoves already installed in people's homes. And third, that the focus will be on tighter standards for new wood-burning products, not on criminalizing existing users. The commenter accused some media outlets of ignoring these caveats in order to produce an anti-Labour dig that gets ravening punters baying for blood, calling the coverage really awful stuff. Others, however, stress the practical realities of life outside big cities. One country dweller pointed out that there is no mains gas in their small village. Their household relies on oil heating at more than £600 for 1,000 litres, and wood, much of it sourced from their own land. For people in similar situations, a wood-burning stove is not a fashionable lifestyle accessory but a vital backup or even a primary source of warmth during cold months. From this perspective, talk of tighter regulations and possible local bans sounds less like a health measure and more like another squeeze on rural living. The timing of the row has added to its political sting. Labour is already under intense pressure over tax, after Chancellor Rachel Reeves confirmed a freeze on income tax thresholds that will steadily pull more people into higher tax bands, a move opponents denounce as a stealth tax on working people. Against that backdrop, critics are now framing the equality shift as another example of a government that, in their eyes, raises your taxes, then comes for your home comforts to satisfy international bodies and European standards. Ministers and their supporters reject that characterization. They argue that bringing the UK into line with stricter European Union rules is not about keeping Brussels happy, but about protecting British lungs and cutting NHS costs. With air pollution linked to heart disease, stroke, asthma, and some cancers, they say the economic and human case for faster action is overwhelming. For them, wood burners are only one part of a much bigger picture that also includes cleaner transport, industry, and agriculture. What happens next will depend heavily on the detail of the consultation. If DEFRA proposes relatively modest tightening of standards for new stoves, paired with targeted action in the worst affected urban hotspots, the policy may be sold as a sensible evolution rather than an outright war on wood burners. If, however, local authorities are given sweeping powers to restrict use, or if older appliances are heavily penalised, the government could face the kind of rural revolt that forced Scotland into a U-turn. For now, the facts are these. Labour plans to align the UK's PM 2.5 targets with tougher European limits by 2030. A consultation is coming on how to cut soot and other fine particles. Existing wood-burning stoves will not be banned nationwide, but new ones are likely to face tighter standards. And the political argument over whether this is responsible public health policy or another overreach by a government accused of taxing and regulating too much is only just beginning.